So what next, ladies and gentlemen? Romelu Lukaku has done his apology video to Chelsea TV, or Chelsea media team. The was published on all social media, the application, the website, and it was the most generic PR construction you will ever see. But we're going to talk about that in his apology, and perhaps some of the stuff he answered and didn't answer. So, okay, cool. Thank you for joining me on this reactional video. You are all welcome. I'd urge you to drop a like and subscribe if you're new, hitting that bell notifications icon. Look, man, I did a Chelsea news video this morning, and we discussed how he'd already apologised internally, and we were probably expecting an external public apology, which we now have. The internal thing, you imagine, firstly, let's start at the beginning. We all know the interview, we all know the destruction it's brought, we all know the reaction from the Inter fans, who were upset as well, and Chelsea fans respectively. Tuchel, I've heard behind the scenes, he was very, very angry, despite handling it brilliantly in front of the cameras, and probably brilliantly internally as well, but he wasn't happy about it. Understandably, the Chelsea hierarchy would not be happy about it either. He's their most expensive ever asset. He's their most highest paid ever player, and he's just got here. So you can understand everyone was upset, and he was never going to go in January unless he just absolutely went mental. But his options, say he genuinely didn't want to be at Chelsea, which I don't think necessarily was the case, but let's just say he didn't want to be at Chelsea. He can't go to Inter now either. They don't have the financial money to pay his wages, like what he's on now, even if they went on loan. Inter could not have paid for him. Inter fans and the Ultras did not want him back. I was listening to on the Athletic podcast. They're saying literally probably the only club, high-profile club in Europe that would take him potentially is Paris Saint-Germain. Man City did want him, and they probably were interested in him. Chelsea wouldn't sell him to Man City. And of course, they reportedly offered him higher wages than he's on at Chelsea. But that's beside the point. The point is he's in a position now where he can't go anywhere unless he's, obviously native French speaker. He might fancy... Well, he doesn't fancy going to PSG, let's be honest. So he's stuck at Chelsea, and he wasn't going to leave, so therefore he needs to make right now. I will just... So he apologises internally. He has to. He's texting Tim Howard saying it's too hot right now. I've got the meeting on Monday. He obviously had 2 training sessions before the apology and since the interview. He's obviously said to the teammates in the change room, "Look, guys," because the teammates were reportedly very upset with him as well. The Athletic reported they weren't. I did a video. Romelu rejected. I put in the thumbnail because his teammates weren't backing him in terms of what he's done here. And can I just also say, which has made me blow my mind, that Romelu Lukaku has a graduate degree in public relations. Deep that. Man has got a degree in PR! And he snuck in the Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres interview in his New York? He speaks like he's from New York sometimes. London apartment. Mental. How's this guy got, an intelligent speaks 7 languages, graduate degree in PR, does this stuff? It just blows my mind. Anyway, he would have spoke to his teammates in the dressing room and be like, "Look, fellas, I'm really sorry. I had this relationship with Inter. I don't want to go back, but it was such an important time for me. I don't want to tarnish my legacy there. Winning the first Scudetto in a decade and all this kind of stuff. And I saw this as an opportunity to alleviate my demons." I'm making this up. I don't know. He said this to his teammates, but maybe he said that. You'd imagine the coach certainly never demonized him and was upset, but was okay about it. He's like, "We're going to deal with this." And maybe the teammates were the same. Chelsea are a tight unit. Look how they played for the manager against Liverpool, clearly paying for each other as well as the manager, and indeed the Chelsea badge. They're all together. So if Lukaku appeased them in the background in the locker room, all that was left was the public apology. And I think this was in the works for a long, long time. Since the beginning, I think the Chelsea's PR team probably got onto it immediately as soon as the second load of quotes and statements were released from said Sky Italia interview. I reckon Chelsea worked very, very fast because they were like, "We have to squash this and do the best we can," and they probably had Tuchel in the room for as long as possible. Tuchel, I believe, navigated it perfectly, but I imagine there was a little bit of a push, can you do a bit of this, please, mate? And ultimately, the one good thing that's come out of this is unilateral support for a Chelsea manager, which is a peculiar new thing for Chelsea Football Club, and not just from the fan base, the entirety of the fan base, which is amazing and new, but also the Chelsea board, club, and institution as a whole, holistically supporting a manager with a fleeting contract rather than their £100 million asset, as in supporting him in his decisions. But of course, you can't get rid of this asset, and they made an apology video. So let's talk about that. It was painful, man. Look, he said, look, go watch it. I was going to do a reaction video, but you don't need to see me reacting to it. You can watch it. It's on the Chelsea website. It's on all Chelsea social media. It's on the Chelsea app. It's about 5 minutes long, 5.5 minutes long. It was the most generic PR thing ever. Lee, who did the interview, did fantastic work in terms of the type of questions that he was directing. It was the exact questions that need to be asked, like, why did you say that? There's certain questions that Romelu didn't answer. Like the question, for example, he asked, why are you saying you want to go back to Inter and you're in your prime, you signed a 5-year deal at Chelsea. I would have liked it if he said, look, I just said that to try and make it feel like there could be, a connection again one day, not that I had a plan. He didn't really answer, he's just like, So, clearly Romelu has realised he's just sort of screwed himself here. I don't necessarily think he was trying to engineer a transfer back to Inter Milan this January. I don't think that. But at the same time, I think he was trying to maybe open the door in the future, a couple of years at Chelsea, win a Premier League, go back and then play another 6 years in Serie A and do as Zlatan, who's playing his 40s up to 40. Do you know what I mean? He wanted to strategically keep that door open, maybe. But yeah, he pretty much said that it was about saying sorry to the Inter fans, and basically he wanted to soothe that relationship. But he also said, I completely understand everything that's went wrong here. He didn't say it wasn't like I'm sorry you feel that way. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I understand why teammates are upset. I understand why the fans are upset. I understand the manager. I didn't want to derail that. I am committed to Chelsea. He reaffirmed the narrative of I support Chelsea. I've always supported Chelsea. You've seen the videos of me as a young lad coming here. I've always wanted to make it at Chelsea. Another question that was posed to him was about Barcelona, Bayern, and Real. Why are they the pinnacle and not Chelsea? Again, another question that he couldn't really have an answer for, but he was just sort of bounced back and deferred to Chelsea's my club, Chelsea's the club I want to make it at, and then said the same kind of generic crap he said in the first interview, when he's first signed, a couple of days ago, it feels like, I was an 18-year-old, and I came here, it didn't really work, now I'm 28, in my prime, I want to make it work. It's almost like the first interview revamped, just really trying to reiterate why he would come to Chelsea and why he'd want to make it work. Still, look, man, it was a bit painful in terms of it was the most generic, forced thing. But ultimately, he didn't have, too much pride to not do it. Do you know what I mean? He completely just says, yeah, I apologise. I'm sorry to everyone. I want to make it work here with Chelsea. Let's get back on, score some goals immediately. And then they ended the interview talking about Chelsea moving on forward. And let's be honest, it's very much ticking a box. He's apologised internally. He's made the coach happy. He's cleared it up with the coach. Everyone's clear behind the scenes. That's number one. Generic public apology saying not even the right things. I reckon I can be quite good with words sometimes. I reckon if I had to strategically, I know English is not his first language either, so that's probably unfair to compare myself to a guy who speaks 7 languages and I speak 1.5. But he could have structured some stuff better to really be like, look guys, I just wanted them, genuinely, authentically. Inter have a special part of my history, and I didn't want to leave it like that. So I thought I was saying all I can to make it better. And clearly that didn't work, and it was the wrong thing to say because I love Chelsea, and just so something like that, real. But instead it was just I'm saying this, or inauthentic, generic PR construction made by the club. Do you know what I mean? So whatever, man. Truth is, how do we feel moving forward? I'm pleased that he did it, despite it being an uneasy watch. And like I said, I tweeted out, if he dunks 2 goals against Antonio Conte's Tottenham, his ex-lover, or probably current lover, and celebrates and, sinks Tottenham, Incredible scenes. I don't think. Will the fans cheer his name when it's read out in the squad? I don't know. Will he get booed? I don't know. I mean, anything can happen, can't it? He can still be cheered, which feel a little bit plastic, but whatever. Support the team. I'm here for it. He could be booed, a little bit out of order, but whatever. I understand. He really disrespected the club. Maybe something in between, a muted sort of whatever, and then if he scores, cheer him. If he scores a hat-trick, sing his name. do you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at. So we'll see what happens in terms of system. Again, something that I want to cite from the Athletic podcast I was listening to. Yes, Chelsea need to find a way to get the best out of Romelu Lukaku. It's our responsibility to do that to an extent. But at the same time, Romelu Lukaku is a world-class striker in his prime. It's his responsibility to adapt to the champions of Europe. Think about that. You're not playing at Inter, no disrespect to Inter. Great history, big club, good team at the moment. But at the moment, Chelsea are a bigger entity, hence the transfer itself. And you've got to adapt and mould yourself to that accordingly. And if that's playing as a lone striker, you do that. It sounds like from Thomas Tuchel's comments, you have a great degree of freedom to an extent anyway. So drift into that right channel. Tell your forwards, this is what I'll be doing. Tell the coach as well. Make it work together. Anyway, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I did want to talk about the sorry video. Sorry, didn't mean it. And get your thoughts as well. So let's start a conversation down in the comments section below. Let's see if we get a bunch of likes, though. Hey, on your way out or on your way in, whatever, just make sure you drop the like on the video, friends. And daily videos, of course, so keep it locked in that bell pressed here on Football Therapy when you subscribe. See you soon. Peace.